Redo You, the podcast that teaches you tools and strategies so you can build the confidence to rediscover and reinvent yourself. With me, Emma Hull, your favorite life coach. Each week, I'll introduce a concept that you can implement right away so you can live your most authentic life. Let's get started. Hello, beautiful goddess. Welcome back to the Redo You podcast. This week, I'm talking about motivation and discipline. First, though, shout out to my beautiful friend, Deanna Deacon. This is a sweatshirt that I got from her retreat here in Sun Peaks back in, I think it was like 2018 or 2019. Yes, so discipline and motivation. I'm going to talk about this using a very real example for me right now, which is training for my epic 650-kilometer solo hike across Portugal. And motivation is what originally got me going. That was the exciting part. How this idea came about, it was back in February, freezing cold, biggest snowstorm to hit Montreal in 100 years. And so one of my lovers and I were on vacation there, sitting in the bath, drinking red wine. And he was telling me about how he had walked the Camino de Santiago. He walked the French route about 20 years ago, and that it was life-changing for him. And he recommended that I try it. So I looked at YouTube a bit after I got home, totally inspired by the idea. That excitement, that motivation got me to book the flights, say I'm going to do the trip. Discipline is what is getting me to lace up my boots and go out hiking, figure out how to work through my blisters and my leg pain. Discipline is what keeps you going after that initial high, the initial excitement of that motivation wears off. And so there's three key ways that I believe that discipline, you can cultivate discipline for yourself. There's accountability, structure, and mindset. Now, accountability, that can be quite as simple as proclaiming on your social media that I'm going to do X, Y, Z. It could be also working with a coach. Coaches are great for accountability. I have a personal trainer. I'm working with a physiotherapist. And, even I had the appointment with her last week. She gave me some exercises. And I'm making another appointment to go back in August because I said to her, I know that if I have to come back and tell you how it's been going, that will hold me accountable to actually do the exercises. So accountability, also you could have a buddy, depending on what you're doing. Like, it's so powerful if you've got a friend that wants to do the similar things with you. The next thing that really helps is structure. And that, for me, it's scheduling my workouts. Something that, this is going to sound really silly, makes me sound a little foolish, but hey, let's be real here. When I decided to do this, I hadn't really thought through that in order to be successful and to come out the other side healthy, I need to train. And the only way to train for a long walk over multiple continuous days is to walk a lot. So I am literally walking a minimum of 2 hours every day. And some days I'm walking 5 hours or more. There is no value in me speeding it up because I'm training for walking at 3 miles an hour over long distances. So I am having to be very disciplined with structuring my time to make sure I get my walks in. Planning and having a schedule, knowing, for example, what days I'm going to the gym, when I'm going to be doing my stretches and my physio exercises, when I'm going to be doing my walks. Having that structure is really helping me to have the discipline. It is a non-negotiable that I go to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that I hike every single day. Create structure for yourself. What is your walk? What are you training for? How can you create that accountability for yourself? And how can you create that structure? Finally, mindset. And of course, that's what I teach all the time, right? Is mindset. but it is so powerful. And one of the gyms that I go to in the Cusp, the owner there, Logan, has this mentality that working out isn't something I do, it's who I am. And so if you take that attitude, whatever it is that you're training for, whatever your walk is, and say that this is who I am, this is part of my personality, this is part of my DNA, that can really help you get into the mindset as well. And of course, I'm all about that compassionate mindset. I'm not into the whole David Goggins yelling at yourself. If you're into that kind of thing, great. Probably not watching my podcast if you're into the David Goggins style of motivation and discipline. Instead, talk to yourself lovingly and kindly. Tell yourself, oh my goodness, I'm so proud of you. Well done. One of my clients, I've borrowed a term from her, and when I do something brave, like walk across a sketchy bridge, I'll be like, good job, Emma, and just giving myself that little cheer. So using that mindset of it's not what I do, it's who I am, and being loving and kind to yourself. So 3 steps to discipline: accountability, structure, mindset. You got this. I can do it. You can do it. Have an amazing day.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Redo You podcast. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review, and tell a friend, because together we rise even higher. See you next Friday.